Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, episode 2 of the LA Rams Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated with your host, Tom Cavanaugh. And we got a lot to get to today, folks. What a win for the LA Rams. They moved to 4-4. They won 3 in a row, and they do it in dramatic fashion, baby. 26-20. They get it done over the Seattle Seahawks on the road at Lumen Field in front of the 12th man. And boy, was it a comeback victory for the ages. This is a season-defining win for this team. Just because of the fact that they were down 10 points at halftime. Geno Smith was working offensively through the air, throwing for over 300 yards, and they were still able to bow up on defense on a couple of big drives late in the game, pushing it to overtime, and then being able to gut it out with a huge touchdown drive from Matthew Stafford to Demarcus Robinson. Going to get it all into that in just a moment. But first, you follow us on Twitter at LA Rams on SI. Follow me personally, your LA Rams beat writer for Sports Illustrated at TCAV30 on Twitter, both accounts on Twitter, at LA Rams on SI Insider, and then also at TCAV30. But let's get right into things. Start talking about this huge win for the Rams, their third in a row. And we'll start with the OT winner, Demarcus Robinson, 39-yard touchdown catch to seal it. He had a one-handed grab in the end zone. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. I mean, what a play. He was battling the receiver with one hand, hauled the ball in with the other. Incredible catch. It was Robinson's second touchdown catch of the game, and it was his fourth in the last 2 games. He has been on fire, and he had to play a big role today. We'll get into that a little bit later. There was a disqualification to one of the Rams players on the offensive side. That's a big piece. And he was out in the first half, had no part to play in that second half because he was disqualified late in that second quarter. But Demarcus Robinson, again, shows up big, and you can't say enough about Matthew Stafford and the game that he played. He led the game-winning drive, 298 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw an interception late in the first half that led to some points before the end of the first half. But, I mean, if you're a Rams fan or if you knew him back when he was spending time with the Detroit Lions for 12 years, you know this guy is built for the moment in a tie game or losing with under 2 minutes to play late in a ball game. And he's able to get it done. He does it time and time again, and he shows the Rams once again why they traded for him, won them a Super Bowl a few years ago, and he's able to get them another clutch win, this time on the road in an NFC West divisional matchup in a very, very hostile environment. Weather conditions weren't good either, and Stafford was still fearless out there slinging the rock, and he got it done in a big way, and they win by 6. But they wouldn't have never got to that point. The Seahawks got the ball first to start overtime, and this is where I want to tip my cap to the defense. They played incredible all day. The first half, towards the end of the first half, they struggled a little bit, did give up, as we mentioned, over 300 yards to Geno Smith and the Seahawks offense, but 2 interceptions from Cameron Kitchens, 1 pick from Jalen McCullough. Both of those guys are rookies. It was a rookie show today. We'll get into a few of the other first-year guys that made some big plays today, but want to talk about that overtime opening drive from the Seattle Seahawks. They went 7 plays, 54 yards. They took the ball down all the way till the Rams' 16-yard line. Had a chance on 4th and 1 to kick a field goal and go up by 3 and let their defense play a part and try to win the game that way. Head coach Mike McDonald said, no, we're going to go for it on 4th and 1. They give it to Kenneth Walker III, their top running back, one of the best, most hard-nosed runners in the league. He gets stopped on 4th down. Bobby Brown Jr. and Omar Speights. And we mentioned rookies. Omar Speights again comes through. He makes a big play. They stop the Seahawks on 4th down. Rams get the ball back at their own 16-yard line. And in 4 plays, 83 yards, Stafford drives him right down the field. He completed every single pass in those 4 plays, and it was a storybook ending for the Rams in a game that they really needed to win. Falling to 3-5 would have put them in a really tough spot to even, let alone make the NFC West, but get a playoff spot at all. So huge to be able to gut that out. And being down by 10 points going into the second half, what a comeback. They went on a 23-7 run in the second half to win this. Mentioned how the defense stepped up, and Cameron Kitchens and Jalen McCullough both with interceptions, but Cameron's very, very, very crucial late in the game. He had a 103-yard pick-6 interception, a franchise record for the longest pick-6 interception return for a touchdown in the Rams' history. What a play. Caught the ball 3 yards deep in the end zone, took it to the crib, hobbled over Geno Smith to go all the way. And that was to turn the game from a 13-13 tie in the Rams' favor. It was the first time the Rams had led all games since they were up 3-0 late in the first half. And Kinchins later on the very next drive, the Seahawks went down. They didn't even drive the field. The Rams actually had a punt blocked. Seahawks got the ball inside the Rams 20 at the 19-yard line, and boom, 2-3 plays later, Kinchins comes up with his second interception, the rookie, in a big spot. And then McCullough, he had his pick in the first half. That was huge. But a huge stat, a major stat that really sticks out to me is 7 sacks on quarterback Geno Smith of the Seahawks. Braden Fisk, another rookie, 2 sacks, the man out of Florida State. He was flying all over the field, got some pressure on Smith, and his Seminole counterpart, Jared Verse, he had a sack as well. Another rookie that played really well. And then Christian Roseboom, he's not a rookie, but he's still in his 4th year, a younger-ish player. Christian Roseboom led the team 11 tackles. He came up in a lot of big spots too, some open field tackles. And the defense was great. Now, they did have a little bit of a blunder at the end of the first half. Rams were leading 3-0 with under a minute to go. Seahawks find the end zone for their very first score on a touchdown to make it a 6-3 game. They missed the extra point, so it was still only a 3-point game. And the Rams wanted to try to put some more points on the board. Offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur, definitely aggressive at times, and against a Seahawk defense that, had bowed up really well, Rams tried to push the envelope, only being able to generate 3 points in that game. And it was a very slow first half with 8 punts in the first 9 drives. So Rams go after it. They try to get another couple of points. Stafford hoists one deep with 30-some seconds left, throws a pick. Seahawks get the ball right back. With 5 seconds remaining in the half, they're able to score another touchdown. Jackson Smith and Jigba, he hooked up with Geno Smith. Smith and Jigba finished the game with 2 touchdown scores. And I think he had 180 yards too as well. Just a lights-out day for the second-year wide receiver out of Ohio State. And you look at that and you think, boy, you're taking a 3-0 lead in a halftime or a 6-3 deficit in a halftime because Seattle scored, but giving up 13 points at the end of the half to go into halftime with a 10-point deficit. That's really taxing, not only physically because your defense is on the field so much more with under a minute to play, but also mentally. The confidence was drained from that team, but they did not flinch one single bit. They played incredible football second half. As we mentioned, they went on a crazy run, 23-7, outscoring the Seahawks in the second half. And it was good football in that second half, 110%. You didn't see the blunders that you saw in the first half, and the Rams really picked it up. When it comes to the offensive side. Mentioned Stafford threw for 298, 2 touchdowns. The rush, very silent. It was Kyren Williams having less than 70 yards, had somewhere in the high 60s, and he was really it. They were held to under 100 yards rushing, but the pass game was huge. You had Cooper Kupp going for over 100 yards. Demarcus Robinson had 90-some yards as well. A couple of really nice days from the top receivers, and the one guy that was not being able to make much of an impact was Puka Nacua. Now, Nacua, on that interception that we mentioned earlier from Stafford to end the first half or right before the Seahawks scored, that Stafford pick, the only one he had all day, Puka Nacua punched a Seahawks defensive back. That had him disqualified from the game. So Puka, who had been battling a right knee injury all week, limited in practice on Thursday, did not practice Friday. They were trying to get him going to make sure he's healthy and play a full game. He takes himself out of the ball game by acting a fool and punching the guy in the face mask, and he gets flagged, disqualified immediately, and it did not look good for the Rams. You lose arguably your best receiver. Him and Kupp are neck and neck up there the same, but you lose one of your best receivers right there on that play. You don't have him for the entire second half. It's a big hit. And Demarcus Robinson stepped up big. Stafford found other guys around the field as well. You mentioned a couple of those guys in Demarcus Robinson, in Cooper Kupp. Tyler Johnson, he had 3 catches for 38 yards. Kyren Williams was utilized in the pass game. He had 26 yards, just 1 catch, so he scurried on one. Tutu Atwell, he also had a catch in that overtime period to get them closer to that score that Demarcus Robinson had. But you can't say enough about what this Rams team was able to overcome, losing one of their best receivers, giving up 13 points at the end of the first half, trailing by 10 to enter the second, and they put together one heck of a run. Seahawks tied the game up late. Rams said, it don't matter. We're going to stop you on 4th down and overtime, and we're going to drive down the field and do it old Matthew Stafford style and get a big win. Looking forward to next week. It's going to be at SoFi Stadium, the Rams hosting the Miami Dolphins. Now, Dolphins coming in at 2-6. They just lost a nail-biter to the Buffalo Bills, one of the best teams in the AFC. And even though with a 2-6 record, the Dolphins are a much better team than advertised, especially with quarterback Tua Tagovailoa back. Tyreek Hill had over 80 yards today through the air. So, I mean, you saw the stat line from the Seahawks game today. Tyler Lockett, he had 63 yards, 180 from Jackson Smith and Jigba. So the Rams, they're going to have to prep for Tyreek Hill, make sure he doesn't pop off for a couple of scores and 150 yards, because that is going to be the Dolphins' key to success, is using him along with the running game between Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert. Once again, huge overtime win for the Rams. They get it done 26-20. Glad to recap everything for you here on the LA Rams Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated. I'm your host, Tom Cavanaugh, and we'll see you next time, everybody. Thanks so much.